Let me tell you about a study we ran on a range of pasta sauces. Our client Italiano had built a successful company helping consumers to create authentic and hearty Italian meals at home. However, over the years, changes in the recipes had chipped away at the product quality. It reached a point where sales had dropped and they were receiving numerous complaints. It just doesn't have any flavour. It's too bland. It doesn't taste like an authentic tomato sauce. It's a disappointment. They realised it was time to invest in the product quality and drive growth through great tasting sauces. Essentially, they needed us to help them find their way. It was like they were lost in a maze, and they needed to find the path back to success. To start with, they developed a new recipe, and they wanted feedback from consumers about what they thought of it. Well, let's start with overall liking. Let's look at the current. Not surprising, it was pretty ordinary, with a score of 43. But what about this new recipe, the one that they'd pinned all their hopes upon? Well, it was pretty mediocre. It scored 48 and was only a slight improvement over the current. And how did those ratings translate into likelihood to buy? Well, for the current, it had a poor response with 30%. And for the new recipe, it too was pretty mediocre with only 41%. Clearly, these were not the results they were hoping for, and there was more work to be done. They needed help to improve the sauces. So we undertook analysis to find out the specific attributes that were holding back its appeal. Let me draw a scale, where 0 is the ideal point. Above that level, an attribute's too strong, and below, well, an attribute's lacking intensity. Let's start with the sauces and its aroma. Firstly, the aroma was too mild. It lacked delivery, both when consumers opened the jar and on cooking. The colour? Well, it was too pale. And once again, the flavour. Again, it just lacked intensity. Consumers felt like they had to add too many other ingredients to get that flavour impact. And finally, well, the texture. It was too thin and runny. It was more like a puree. Using these results, we could guide the MPD team and build a product blueprint for the sauce. So let's start with the aroma. Consumers wanted it to have a stronger Italian herb aroma, and this was an important touch point for the sauce. And the colour? Well, they wanted it to have a deep, rich red hue, too pale, and it suggested it was artificial. And the flavour? Well, they wanted it to have a stronger intensity. And with that, they wanted it to have oregano and basil as authentic Italian herbs. And finally, the texture. Well, once again, they wanted it to be a more authentic offering. And so finely chopped onion, tomato seeds, finely chopped tomatoes, this all added to that authenticity. The MPD team took all the recommendations that we'd given them and developed a new recipe. We then put that recipe back into research with consumers, and we found, encouragingly, it performed exceedingly well. Firstly, for overall liking, and for purchase intent. All the recommendations that we'd made, Italiano sauces had put into practice, and consumers loved the resulting sauce. What a fantastic result! Italiano sauces had clearly found the path back to success.